Right, this time in the Quick Speed Shop, I'm still in the shop working on my Black 80 Dodge. Bam! We're welding floor pans in the passenger side. Look at it. It's a lot, but it was really bad to start with, and it came out super awesome. So if you want to see how you can put floor pans in your project truck on the cheap, easy, it's not perfect, but guess what? It's good enough for who it's for. So let's get out the cutters and the grinders and the welder and see if we can fix this 80 Dodge up. Hey guys, it's Josh here from the Quick Speed Shop. Last time we started working on the black 1980 Dodge, doing some rust repair on the floors. And I've been doing some traveling around and doing some other things. Had a little collab with DeBoss Garage again already up in Canada. So I'm back. And when I got back last night, yesterday, I started working on this thing again. I finished it. Last time you saw me do the front floor pan, the cab mount and stuff like that. Well, I've just gone ahead and I've very rudimentarily put this whole thing back together. Now this is the first time you're seeing this. Don't pick my work apart. This is just an off-road plow truck. It's not going back on the road. It's not a show truck. It was completely rotted out. Basically everything you see welded in was gone, including the cab mounts and all the bracing. Thing was garbage. So I put a replacement floor pan in it that came with the truck. This is a chunk of cab corner that I had left over from my 95 Ford. Then I made some new pieces here. Obviously it's not perfect. It's just spot welded all the way around. That's going to get ground and seam sealed. And it's plug welded into the brace here, the cab mount, and a brace here. But it's super, super sturdy. I'll go underneath, I'll show you. There's just going to be brushed on seam sealer over all the seams. I'm not making this thing perfect. It's not going back on the road. It's just, this thing was rotted up, rotted the whole way as rotted. You know what? I'll show you. It looked like this when I started. The cab mount completely broken, the floor missing, holes all the way back into here, holes back here like that, completely rotted away. So that's what the driver's side looked like. So I would say that it's 1,000 times better than it was. Like I said, this is not a show truck. It is just a plow truck, but man, we got this thing all sealed up. It's awesome. And I'm just going to grind all the welds down. Just apply seam sealer over all the welds all the way around, brushable seam sealer, just slap it on like the factory. This one little hole on top that goes under the seat, I'm just going to booger that full of seam sealer. Don't care. I'll probably end up putting Herculiner in here, I'm going to imagine, when I get done. That'd probably be the right maneuver. That way it can be super durable rubber-wise. But this whole side's kicked out. Let me go underneath. I'll show underneath. So underneath here, I ended up making my own custom front mount here out of a piece of rectangular tubing, the bolts to the mount, and then some angle iron here that's plug welded to the floor. And then it's got a piece of sheet metal up in the front here, making the front edge of it. And then I boxed the rockers in of 16 gauge out of a couple pieces, but you see this primer, it's a weld-through primer. I primed the whole inside of the whole thing with weld-through primer. Here you can see the bottom of the jegs floor and this patch panel from my cab corner there, if you can read that. Then in the back here, the body mount I had fixed before on the frame. And then I just went and I bent up this piece of 16 gauge and I slipped it up inside where this was all rotted away and just welded here. This will get all seam sealed as well here all the way around. And I'll grind all the welds down a little bit and just grind all this. This is kind of like got a little bit of undercoating, and then here's factory primer. Just hit all that. We'll seam seal it all up both sides, and then I'll throw some primer on here and probably just paint it black and then fluid film the whole underside of the truck. But you can see here this gap that's showing through the light from up top. That'll get all seam sealed from the top. It's fine. Like I said, this is just a plow truck. It's 1,000 times better than it was. It's very, very solid up here. There's no flex in it. This is all tied back together. The rockers are good. The cab corners are all tied back in, or the cab mounts, I mean, are all super strong. This thing is completely mounted up where it's got to go. Oh shoot, I got to add one more little, do I really need a piece to hold the fender? It's mounted up there in the front. This is all rotted off anyways, never mind. So that'll be good. It's all tied in as good as it needs to be, and it's not going to go anywhere. What I'll probably do now here for a little bit before I go to bed is just hit all this with a grinder, grind all this up, clean it up, and then it'll be ready to apply seam sealer, and it'll be mint, but I don't think I need to do any more welding. It's all good. I even made a panel here to box in the top of the rocker. They had a factory one that was kind of like just tacked and like spooged in there with seam sealer, so I welded it in the same thing. It's just like laying in there, and that'll get all sealed up good. But I'm really happy with how it came out, actually. This is way more than passable for like a driver quality vehicle repair. Did a little bit of overlapping, and then if you seam seal it up and paint it, it's going to last forever. It'll 100% last the life of this truck. This truck is one step away from being in the scrapyard right now. It's like completely shot. But this will last way longer than, you know, the truck is ever going to last. So thumbs up on that repair. Look. All right, I ground everything down. I'm using brushable seam sealer from Eastwood in gray, and I don't have any small brushes. The smallest brush I got is this 2-inch brush, but since we're not doing anything we really care about, it's going to be fine. I'm just going to take and brush it really over the seams, just trying to work it in there to seal these up. Man, I wish I had a smaller brush because this is not going to look pretty. But it is what it is. I just got to slop it in there and cover up the welds. And this stuff is paintable and everything else. It dries pretty fast and dries pretty hard. I'm going to try to wad some into this hole. This might be hard with this brush. Ooh, there was a big glob. There we go. Let's just wad it into the hole. Kind of let that go. Ooh, that's way too much. Perfect. Wad it into the hole. I got a couple of pinholes here on the side that I didn't see. We'll just kind of wad it into them and let them go. But essentially, I'm just going to brush this into the seam. And it kind of like... It goes on with brush strokes, but then it kind of like levels itself out after that a little bit, so it doesn't look so horrendous. Like I said, if I had a better brush or if something I cared about, I would tape it off and do it really nice. But for this old plow truck floor, this is perfect, and it gets it sealed up. This stuff works really good. Actually, I should order some more because I'm going to burn up a lot on this job, and then it's going to be almost gone. Well, that didn't come out completely horrendous. Like I said, that brush is not the right application, but I got it on there good. It's all soaked in all the way around all the welds, and I put it on the bottom best I could. Good enough for who it's for. Once we scuff this up and put the Herculiner bed liner material, which is full of like rubber chunks and stuff, it'll hide a lot of the seam sealer. Not that I even care. I don't care. But it is what it is. This is just to keep water from getting in around the welds and rusting. So I put on real heavy on that seam where water could pool, but putting a Herculiner over it will give it a great covering. I spooged that big hole under the seat there closed, and there were some pinholes here. I got them. Got along the back of the cab seam, sealed all that up, and then down in here some on the cab protector. But that's mint. I'll let this dry overnight. I'll blow a little bit of primer on the bare metal, and then this can just get roughed up with 80 grit. Doesn't matter if there's some bare metal showing with the Herculiner. Just scuff it up 80 grit, scuff all this up under here, and then you're pretty much In a truck bed, you put on the roller with a nappy roller, and it brings the texture out, or they give it a special roller actually with it. But I just take one of those paint brushes and I just dab it on, and it does the same effect pretty much for smaller areas. You wouldn't want to use the paintbrush for a pickup truck bed, but for like small areas like this, I just use a brush. So I'll just dab it all up, paint it up right to the seam on the firewall. We'll do the tunnel, but obviously we'll wait till the truck's done to do that. And it's best to do it outside because it stinks really bad. If the weather is still super cold, I'll use a respirator and run my fan and suck the fumes out of the garage, but it makes the garage stink for like a day afterwards. So it's better to do it outside if you got the weather to do it outside. So we'll see how it goes. But anyways, completely restored this side of the truck. Mint, can't even tell that anything ever happened. This is factory. Oh shoot, I forgot to put some on this little patch here. That's all right. I'll just blow some paint on that, screw it. Oh my goodness, check it out. This side was worse than the driver's side, pretty much. We got a little bit of rot in the rocker. I had to take a chunk out of the front of the rocker. I actually have replacement rockers down in the shed that I got, but I don't need that. I can just bang in a little piece here. The rest of the rocker is super solid. But this guy was real bad. Now these 80 cabs, when I did my brown 80 truck, I used an 87 cab when I swapped it in there. I don't know when they stopped doing the removable transmission tunnel in these trucks, but it must have been around 79 or 80 because both my 80 cabs and my 87 cab were just a solid floor like this with no removable hump. But when I did the 75 parts truck and disassembled it, it had the removable four-wheel drive hump. So I cut my floor out in that 87 cab, and I put the removable section in over the transmission and transfer case because it makes it a lot easier to get to. But as you see, this truck doesn't have one. Now it does have some rust up over around the hole. I'm gonna have to fix this later. But I had to chop a whole bunch of this, was rotted up into here, and I thought I had saved the other tunnel. I might have to go out and look, but I don't think I did. I think I scrapped it because I didn't see any reason to hold on to it. Kind of wish I did now because I think it was a little more solid down here, but I don't know. Anyways, I had to really chop that out, and as you can see on the floor pan here, this inset piece here, this is where the panel would bolt in. So I essentially just trimmed it back kind of where it would go. So I'm gonna have to make a whole bunch of custom pieces to get the floor pan to fit right in here, but I trimmed it down, and let's see if we can stick it in here, how it goes kind of. So I'm gonna be able to attach down here, right? And for some reason these have a big kick up. I don't know if they made these so they can use them in crew cabs, because maybe the crew cab has a raised up section. I don't know, but I had to cut this piece right out of the other one as well, so it's weird. I don't know what's going on, but anyways, they probably made it to fit all the cabs the whole years, but it'll fit good here. I got to trim the inner rocker off. As you can see, if I had the removable tunnel, it would bolt down across here and it would bolt up in there. So we'll weld this guy down. It's lining up good. It actually covered all the rust. There's a little bit of, it's a little punky here, but I don't have any more patch panels, so we're good to go there. So I'm just going to weld the floor pan in, and I'm just going to have to scab this all together, just kind of weld it in as I go. This is suspect here. I don't know how thin this is, unless that's just on the outside, but I'm going to replace around the shifter. I might tie both ends in and then make a new piece down. I don't know yet, but you can see I got to put a little piece in here. This is going to get cut and formed into place. This is good here. I was able to take some chunks out of the panel that I cut off, and I'm going to use these to come in here and try to fix up the the under the seat part, I'll trim that around. It's going to be a patchwork of nonsense to fix this up here. This side was a lot worse under the seat. This truck had running boards on it which had fallen off, and it had twisted the floor all down because it was so rusty. So it fits how it fits. It's gonna be all right. This side's just gonna be a Frankenstein quilt work of nonsense. But the first thing I got to do is repair the cab mount. So just like in the previous video, I took a piece of 1 by 2.5 or 1 by 3, whatever this is, 3/16 wall tubing. I welded a sleeve through it for the bolt to go through for the body mount. And what this does is goes on the body mount, and then it ties into the rocker panel over here. And I have the new body bushing. I showed you how to do this in the last episode, but this guy will go on here first. I'll jack the cab up just a tiny little bit to take some, because it's probably sagged a little bit. I'll jack it up just a little bit. I got to make a plate in here. I'll weld all this sided up. I'll patch the rocker back in here. I'll plate this first, and then I will stick this guy on here where it goes, about there, tie it all in, and then it gets gusseted down below after I fit the floor pan in. Get that guy in there. I'll clean up the edge of the rockers. I've got to take this, drill out all the spot welds, take this off, grind all this up. I'll throw some paint inside the rocker. I'll take 16 gauge and skim all this back in here with new 16 gauge all the way across. And then once I get the 16 gauge back past where the floor patch is going to do, we'll put the front floor patch in. We'll weld it around to the perimeter. Then we'll work our way back, and then we'll piece the tunnel in last, probably how it's going to go. You see the transfer case here, it's a 208 transfer case, part-time 4x4. You got the front drive shaft with a double cardigan joint here. We got our levers. So 80 was the first year for the part-time transfer case. The 72 to 79 trucks were full-time, I think 203 transfer cases, where there was no two-wheel drive option. It was just 4-high full-time. So it was in 4-wheel drive all the time. Then in 1980, they went to the part-time transfer case with the lockable front hubs, or I guess you could probably get auto hubs too, maybe. I'm not sure, but I have 2 trucks I have self-locking hubs. So this is the 208 here. It's got the shifter like this. It's on top. It's got 2 high in it. If it was the 203, it wouldn't have 2 high. Okay, so I'm about ready to attach the cab mount here. I welded in some 16 gauge and boxed in my rocker here. Got this piece welded on. It's all plug welded, and I take the Seymour here, PBE weld through primer, and I hit all my welding surfaces just because, I mean, this truck's not going to last. It probably doesn't really matter, but I do it anyways. I hit the surfaces. All these panels that are bare metal are sprayed with weld through primer on the inside just to help protect it a little bit more. You can see the gray on the plug weld holes here. I still need to patch in the bottom of the rocker down there, but I'll do that once we get done. So this guy, just like the other side, I made this mount. It's 3/16 tubing, 1 by 3 I think, and I welded a sleeve through it for the bolt to go through. I got my brand new body bushing bolted in. Now I'm just going to go and weld this to the 16 gauge, and then it'll get some side pieces which will weld to the floor pan. Once the floor pan's in from below, I used a piece of angle iron on the back side, and I use sheet metal on the front, and then I tie this into the floor, which will gusset it to the side once I do that, and then this can take all the weight of the cab. This side wasn't settled as much as that side of the cab. I put the jack under it just to hold it. It didn't really move at all. So I'm going to go ahead and just weld this right around here. It's open on this end, but I'll spray fluid film in it and stuff like that, and I'll leave a little spot on the bottom open in case any water gets in there. It can run out on the bottom there. Maybe I'll drill a hole in the back side of it, but I'm not really worried about it. It'll last the life of the truck, which is, you know, pretty rusty, so it is what it is. I'll weld that on, and then the next step, I guess, is once that's welded on, is to get the floor pan in here and I'll grind up all the edges. We'll start fitting the floor pan and bang that guy in here, and then we can start working our way back, opening this up. Okay, I got the floor pan set in here and clamped in place. Looks pretty good. You could have put a couple of zip screws in it to hold it down where it's got to be. This edge needs to be tapped over a little bit, but we'll do that after we're welding her in place. I've been underneath making my mount pieces up to here, which I'm going to pull this out right now and show you guys what it looks like. And then I can go and I can drill plug weld holes for this. Unfortunately, the welder ran out of MIG wire. It was welding away, and uh-oh, no more wire. And I thought I had a box of wire, but I don't. So I got to go Tractor Supply tomorrow and get us a roll of wire. And then we'll be back in business. So let's pull the pan out. I'm going to show you what I'm working with here. Where's my zip screw gun? Yep. Get out of there. All right, let's pull this guy out of here. Okay, you can see the body mount. I did it the same way as I did on the other side. I made the back mount here, the back side of it, out of angle iron, which would be nice and structural to the mount. I leave a little bit of room so debris can get out of it here, and I leave a hole in the front so I can, instead of putting a hole in the floor to get to the bolt, I'll be able to put a wrench in the front side of this and get to it. I had this piece of scrap 16 gauge. It was kind of like cut out. There's a little bit of a hole there, which doesn't matter, but it was the right size of fit. So once I get wired tomorrow, I'm going to go in and put a bunch of welds on this inner side on both sides here. Then I'll spray this again with the weld through primer, the whole thing, and we'll plug weld into this. I mean, 16 gauge is pretty stiff too. Then we'll plug weld into here. Then the mount will be all good. I need to come off of it with some angle iron. I make the floor braces out of angle iron too, so I'll take this piece and I'll cut it down like this, and it'll get welded in to there. It's not matching up perfectly to the original shape, but that doesn't really matter. So that'll weld there, and or I can make it out of 16 gauge too and just bend it on the brake, which maybe I'll do that on the front because that's a little less wonky. In the back, I'm just going to make it out of angle iron because I can do a big overlap on the sheet metal here, and then I'll bring it right in and tie it into this angle iron, so I'll have nice structure through here wherever this ends up, right about there. So I'll get a longer piece of this 1.5 inch angle, and I just go and burn it in and put it right there, burn it together there. But that'll be our two braces that'll tie this into here for the seat mount, and then tie it into the front, and then the cab mount will be all permanently good. I just got to grind the paint off the back of the floor pan and drill it on this side for plug welds and throw some weld through primer on it. It'll plug weld into here and plug weld into here. I got to grind a little bit of paint out here and get some more primer there, but it fits really good. I took the opportunity to look up inside this edge here. This is just surface rust on the outside, so I'll be able to build down off this line all the way down to tie all this back in, and then I'll just cut an oval hole piece, or I'll chop it out square, and I'll make a new hole for this because this is all rotted up here under the boot, so that we'll have something to screw into because it's got holes on two sides of it already. And then we'll have a new permanent mount for our boot to go back on. Okay, I'm prepping the floor pan, getting this thing ready to weld in. I got to drill my plug holes for the plug welds here for the braces, and I ground the paint off the upper side where the welder's going to be. I got the braces welded in here, just real rough. I'm waiting for the weld through primer to dry. I got all my cab mount boxed in here. Then I just added some angle iron, boop, down here and angle iron here, but it stiffened this right up. This is all locked in good, so we're ready to go there. Set the pan on after I drill the holes. I ran out of wire, but then I got some at Harbor Freight. I bought their Vulcan wire or whatever at Harbor Freight just because it was close by. It's freaking splattery as all get out when you weld with it. It's mine China, obviously. It's not real happy with that. I was using Hobart wire from Tractor Supply Company, but they're sold out, and it's almost like over double the price for a spool. It's like $80 for a spool at Tractor Supply for Hobart wire, and then it was like $40 at Harbor Freight. So I got another spool of different wire that I might try too, but it's real splattery and nasty, that Vulcan wire from Harbor Freight. I don't know what's up with that, but floor pan is in, and it's got a little bit of butchery around the edges. I'll show you. I had to butcher the under the seat. There's a hole that goes right here through the seat piece. I cut a piece out of the floor tunnel that I had cut off the other side and kind of formed it around. It's a little wonky, but I had to continue this edged around here. So I used a piece. Obviously, it wasn't long enough, so I'll scab that in. I had to put a little chunk in here. But other than that, it's in here. I did it just like the other side where I just went and tacked it like every 1/2 inch all the way around. It's plug welded all along into the pinch weld seam here. It's welded to the brace. I mean, it's super strong and it's all good there. I'm going to piece the trans tunnel in, or the shifter tunnel in last. I'll probably make a piece from here to here, do this front piece, and then bring a piece around to like here, and then like hammer form a piece for this corner, like tack it and start beating it into shape and kind of get it hot and form it in. That's kind of what I did with this. From here, this was straight up and down here. I just kept tacking it and beating it and got the roll in there, and then I'll just grind the weld. But it's all good and nice and solid now, so the cab mount's all tied in the front. Next thing I'm going to work on is I got to get in here and I got to saw this. There's like a cab mount back in here. It's routed off, so I got to saw that off square up into like here, and then I can put my last piece of the inner rocker all the way back across the back, and then tie this floor in, and then it gets boxed in just like on the other side. But we're making good progress. We're getting it kicked out. This side is a lot more complicated because of the hump and everything, and had some more rust in it. And I still need to patch the very front of the rocker panel. Is missing a little chunk I got to make, but the majority of it looks good. And what I'll do when I get this done is I'll probably, you see this is going to hold water when this, I'm sure the windshield leaks in this truck because all the rust in the roof. There's even a big hole in the roof right here. I see. I stick my finger in it. But I'll probably drill like a 1/4 inch hole here in this piece, so any water gets in here can run out here. And I'll probably drill a hole for these ribs. Any water leaves in these ribs, I'll drill a hole right there, and then all the water can run out. Now the floor won't sit in it, and that'll be good. But I am going to use Herculiner bed liner material probably and paint this whole floor with Herculiner just to make it a rough, durable surface, and that'll be nice and sealed up good. Okay, it's actually the next day night, and I've been welding and fabricating, which we did in the other video on this, so I skipped a lot of it over here. But I've got the floor all done, and what I'm going to show you next is we're going to do the tunnel, but I'll just show you what the floor looks like. It's a patchwork mess of nonsense, but it's perfect. So I got it boxed back in back here. I made this piece. I ended up, because I had all those weird shapes in here, I ended up cutting the whole thing out and taking this piece of cab corner extension that was left over from putting the cab corners, my green Ford, and I welded it to the rocker. Then I kind of like bent it and twisted it around and kind of fit it and cut it in. So it's not exactly the factory shape that was here originally, but it's close enough. And since this is just a plow truck, that doesn't matter. It's perfect. But everything is all good. I just got to skip lap around there. I got to finish grinding it here, ground it down here. It's nice and solid all under the seat's solid. I got to drill my one last seat hole here that's missing. All this is good. I just need to bend up the bottom of the what do you call it, the brace here. I'll show you. Underneath here, we're all good. I just need to extend this piece down here. I take the sheet metal brake and I just bend up a 3-sided box and I stick it inside here, and I just come down and I weld it to this and then just weld it around the edge. They'll tie that in. You can see on the bottom here, I'm going to address all the welds a little bit, the ones I can reach with the grinder, and smooth them out a little bit and knock all the, there's a couple pieces of welding wire sticking through because this is just fast butchery work. But I'll clean all the welds up. This will get all seam sealed just like the other side, which is over here, and I painted it. So like on this side, I seam sealed it all. You can see it there, and threw some flat black on it because I'm going to fluid film this, and the fluid film sticks to the flat black, but it's all seam sealed and painted up nice. So that's what this passenger side will look like when we get it done. Then you can see this butt weld seam I did here. I got to grind this down because there's some wires sticking through, but I'll seam seal that. we're all good. The rocker is tied in. It's not 100%. It's, you know, this is butcher work. I'm not doing anything. This is just to hold this truck together. It's not a show truck. It doesn't have to be good. This is butchery. So, you know, I got little flaws here where things don't line up, but it's fine. It's just a plow truck. It doesn't matter. But here's the cab mount all dialed together. I got to seam seal all this and prime this all up. I got our braces here, but it's all, this is all 16 gauge on the inside of the rocker, so it's super strong and structural to tie in. And this is 1/8 inch tubing here, and 1/8 inch angle iron, 1/8 inch angle iron here. So super, super strong, and it's perfect for what this truck is. I mean, look at all the holes in the bed back there and stuff, but we're just doing what we can do to make it better. But it's all brand new metal, all ready to go, and came out really decent for junk. Like I said, obviously if I cared about this truck any more than a plow truck, I would have done a lot nicer job making everything in here, but this is just literally like butchering sheet metal into it and patches and welding it back together, because you saw how bad it was when we started. And go back and watch the video on the driver's side. It was just as bad as on the driver's side, but this cab is completely junk on this truck. There's rust over the windshield and stuff in the roof. I just had to put floors in it and cab mounts in it to hold it back together, because it was literally going to fall off the frame. And, you know, we're doing a job, might as well do it decent. This would be entirely passable for a driver if this was a street truck or a, you know, an amateur restoration. This would be entirely acceptable the way I did it, and seam sealing it. It would last as long as you didn't drive it through the winter, you know, unprotected in assault for the next 30 years. You drove this, and if this, say this was a Little Red Express truck that was this rusty, and you fixed it this way and then just drove it in the summertime and kept it clean and kept it seam sealed and stuff, or seam sealed it and painted it and then kept it clean, it would last 30 years in the good weather. It'd be way more than fine. But for what this truck is, these floors are outlast this truck. This truck will rust and break in half long before all this falls back out of it. So it's good. Don't judge me. It's good enough for who it's for. And that's me. Okay, I've been making templates, and here's a pro tip. Get yourself an old cereal box, and they make really nice cardboard, like chipboard type material for making the templates here. And I'm making the transmission tunnel. I already welded in a front piece. I'm using the rest of my cab corner from my 95 Ford that I had left over, and it's 18 gauge or 19 gauge, one of the two, so it's easy to bend. But we're closing in on here really fast, and I got it, the next piece gone. I kind of like get it close, and then I start tacking and hammer forming. So it's almost a butt weld ish. I'll probably seam weld it up. Whoa, come on, man! I got too many things making a racket. Here we go. It's almost. What I'll do is I'll probably seam weld it all the way across the top, and then I'll just tack it across the bottom where I can seam seal it. But this piece is ready to go in, and then we're just gonna have a tiny little piece to fill up behind my hand there in the corner. So it's looking good. Just gonna have to get her to go in there. Okay, so the last piece of the puzzle here is to fix over the four-wheel drive shifter. So I unbolted the shifter handle, took it off, and we're going to cut this piece out here that's bad. And I got the last piece of my cab corner leftover metal that I'm going to use to patch it. And I'm not going to butt weld it in. I'm probably going to cut it back a 1/4 inch all the way around and just overlap it and then tack it all the way around. That'll be good enough. This is just so I got something to screw the boot back down to. But that's good. I shortened the hole up. It was 2.5 inches wide, but as you can see, there's a million miles of clearance around it. So I shortened it up to a 2 inch just because I had a 2-inch hole saw and not a 2.5 inch hole saw. So that'll be good. And I've already marked it out here. So I'm just going to cut on the inside of my line just a little bit and then I'll grind it off. I'll just proceed to tack it all around. I'll probably put a couple of zip screws in it to hold it down first if I can, and then we'll just tack it all the way around and weld it on, and we'll be all done with metal fab on the cab. The whole cab will be, bam, fixed back in near mint. Can't even tell that it's bad condition. Alright, I just cut it out. Let's get it out of here. Come on out of there. How does it look underneath? Ooh, a little punky. Hopefully I got most of the rust out of the way. And then we'll just go bam, like that. Don't even gotta paint it, it's already painted black. We'll just tack this guy around up on there, and then where's the boot? Here's the boot. I'll put some new screws in it. We'll screw this guy right back down on there, and nobody will ever know the difference. All right, finally, bam. The passenger side's all welded up here. Looks good. I ground it all down the best I can. I'm gonna get my brushable seam sealer just like I did on the other side. But I got some acid brushes from Eastwood for like acid for leading and stuff, but they're little, got metal handles and they're only like, I don't know, 1/2 inch wide. They're good for spreading out seam sealer. So I'm gonna seam seal all these weld seams all the way around, and then prime it like that side, then I'll Herculine it here, but it's all locked in good. It looks mint. Even this is good. I'm going to not put the shifter back on until I Herculine it, and I'll zip screw that guy right back down to the new floor. Then I'll go underneath and I'll seam seal all underneath. It's going to be hard to reach the inside of this. I'll do the best I can. Then I'll blow some paint in there, and then I'm going to undercoat this whole truck cab and chassis and box and everything with fluid film. So, whatever. Like I've been saying, this truck is junk. I'm just doing this for fun, for content, because I want to save the cab to not fall off the frame. But this is just a plow truck. It doesn't go on the road. It's an off-road vehicle, but it's got a cool story, and I'm saving it, so this is good enough. Way more than good enough. This would be very passable for a driver quality restoration at its best. Like, there's no rust now on the floor, aside from, you know, not sandblasting anything. I cut out all the rust the best I could, and it's mint. Thumbs up. So, thanks for watching. Next time, we're going to get out some minivan seats, bucket seats I got of a minivan, and I just realized that they're both handed to the same side, which is going to be kind of dumb, but they're weird seats that I'm never going to use in anything else, so I might as well use them in here. They're tan buckets. I think they're out of a Chevy Venture, maybe. I can't remember. I tried giving them away at a swap meet a couple of times. Nobody even wanted them, so I should have scrapped them with a junk car years ago, and I didn't. So they've been kicking around, and guess what? Now they're going in this truck because this truck needs seats, and I don't care about the seats, so perfect. Anyways, thanks for watching. I got a lot to clean up, and we'll get to sitting on some seats next time on the old Black 80 Dodge. Now, a little less rusty than it was only a short time ago. Thanks for watching. Bam, we'll see you next time at the Quick Speed Shop.